Good evening and welcome to Pacific Viewpoint. The Auckland Council is drafting a 30-year plan for its future and is asking the community for feedback. Common issues like public transport and traffic congestion are being addressed, as well as protecting culture and building strong communities. Pacific peoples have an important part to play in the feedback and are being encouraged to participate. Here in the studio on tonight's program is the Reverend Wesifili Unasa, Chair of the Pacific People's Advisory Panel, who believes we must have a voice, not only for our future, but for the future of our families. Good evening, Reverend Unasa, and welcome to the program. The Auckland Council and Mayor Lynn Brown are asking for community feedback on the Auckland Plan. Tell me a little bit about it.
The feedback that the Pacific People's Advisory Panel has been involved in has been through the form of consultation, and the consultations have been in West Auckland, Central Auckland, Otara in South Auckland, and our final one was held last Monday night in the North Shore. And the consultation has been around sharing with our Pacific communities in those four settings the discussion document, which was launched mid-March by the Mayor Lynn Brown. And it has been the opportunity for our Pacific communities to look at some of the areas in the Auckland Plan or the Unleashed document and feedback on that, give some of their ideas, some of their hopes and dreams, some of their reservations about the plan, and hopefully feed that back to the council and to the mayor as to how the first draft will happen, but also when the final plan comes out, it will have incorporated a lot of our Pacific interests and aspirations for the future. And
this is a 30-year plan?
The idea is for 30 years. My sense is that it'll go beyond that for our Pacific people, because I think 30 years is, though it sounds like a long time.
It's a long time.
but it's actually going to be much longer, because the implications of what we do over the next 30 years will of course have to go beyond that, and that will be generations of Pacific people.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the content of the plan and anything there to do with the Pacific people?
Things like the economy. How can Auckland be a economically competitive city, not just within our Pacific region, but in the world? It looks at how we develop our lifestyle, the quality of life in Auckland City, not just for Pacific people, but for all communities in Auckland and people who make Auckland their home. Things like recreation, how those things can be made available in the best way that suits and are relevant to particular communities, and other things like our environment, how our beaches, our waterfront, our parks can be made available and be in the best shape for the use of our Pacific communities.
And I guess most people, including Pacific people, desire to have an eco-friendly Auckland. In what way do you think that you're going to achieve this?
Some of our Pacific communities are not well known for their tidiness or hygiene or just good lifestyle looks. I think the important thing about an eco-friendly place for Pacific people is that our streets are clean, that our homes are clean, our rubbish, for example, gets put in the right place and gets picked up on time, and costs of doing those things are affordable for our Pacific.
Dispose them on the street.
Yes, and some of the things that around our beaches and our parks, those are things that are really important for our families, our young children, and our Pacific community, especially when we want to take our mothers and our fathers who are visiting from other places. We want them to come and see a beautiful place, and that our people can go to these beautiful places rather than and thinking about these places that someone else can go to, but not our Pacific people. So an eco-friendly Auckland is a very important thing for us, not just for lifestyle, but also for the health and the well-being of our Pacific homes and our families and our communities.
So how are you going to do that? How are you going to, and how would the council change our behaviour? This is the way we do things sometimes.
One is to actually have people come around the streets where our Pacific people live and actually clean up the streets. I know that when I lived in Mangere for a few years, I never saw anybody come around and sweep the leaves off our footpath and our street. Now that I live in central Auckland, they're there just about every week cleaning it up and making the place look very nice and spotless and beautiful. Now, I think the council can look at some of our Pacific communities and say these places need to be tidied up and made beautiful, just like the Parnells or the New Markets or the Ponsonbys. The other thing I think we need to be able to do as a council for our Pacific communities is to ensure that, for example, our bins. Sometimes our bins don't fit the things that we have in our Pacific families to throw out, mainly because our Pacific families have different diets, but also they have bigger
rubbish.
bigger rubbish because of our Pacific family size. Those are things that I think are very important for our Pacific people. We can't get a small little bin for a family of 10. And I think those are some of the things they can do. The other thing is making the cost of it affordable for our Pacific people. If they're bags or they're bins, I mean, some of our Pacific people live on very low income. Now, if the council was making these eco-friendly measures very expensive, of course we're going to get rubbish around the house. Of course we're going to get them on the street. And of course we're going to have unhealthy communities. So I hope those are some of the things.
A lot of things that they need to put into their feedback on this plan. So another problem that we face on a daily basis is the traffic. Is there any plan to reduce traffic congestion?
Well, I think that's a big issue for Pacific communities, and what we're hearing from our Pacific communities through the consultation on the Auckland Plan is the reality that most of our Pacific people travel long distances for their work, and not just for work, but also to access health care. Now, for our Pacific people, if we're travelling a lot, we're travelling long distances to access not just work, access health care, and most of them are now actually looking at accessing good schools in the middle of the city. So transport is a major, major issue for our Pacific people in order to live normal lives. The Auckland Plan envisage building better roads. For example, I think there have been developments of building a link between Manukau to West Auckland, and I think that's a good development for some of our Pacific people coming from Massey, for example, to the airport and visiting family in South Auckland. Another initiative I think that's been pushed by the Mayor through the Auckland Plan is to look at rail to the North Shore and a bridge. Those are some of the measures that I think are positive for our Pacific people.
Nasa, are there any plans in the plan to have more people places in Auckland? If so, where and how?
The Auckland Plan is looking at the quality of life, which is a section of the document where ideas and perhaps some initiatives could be taken to ensure for our Pacific communities that there is a quality of life around recreation space. And certainly in one of our consultations in South Auckland, our people are very active. And if they're not active, then they start to eat and put on weight and become very unhealthy. And South Auckland was very strong about providing good parks for our community. They love to play their Samoan kirikiti. They also like to go out there and have their rugby games, all sorts of community sports activity days. Those are the things that I think are very important for our Pacific people. Now, from my experience of Pacific people, they can't afford all the nice holidays that people go on to overseas. But we can afford to bring our church communities together, bring our families together, go to a park or go to the beach or go to some reserve and actually enjoy the natural environment. So there is a very important consideration being given to recreation space and places for people to congregate and meet and have their recreational activities take place in them.
Do you think that we already have enough parks in Auckland at the moment, or do we need some more?
I think there's always a need for more parks, because as Auckland gets bigger and people are increasing in terms of our population, there needs to be more places and parks available for our people.
And we are known for making more kids.
Well, I think it's good to have lots of kids,
Yeah.
but I think that some of the problems for our spaces in terms of our Pacific context has been the lack of space. When we go to the beach, for example, we go in busloads, and our churches go out there and they have all sorts of things, and I often see some of the spaces and places that are recreational spaces for our people jammed and congested, and then often we get blamed for crowding the beach and crowding the parks. I mean, I think we need more, not less.
One of the plans is to continue to strengthen our community. In what way are you going to do that?
Well, certainly from a Pacific point of view, we need to strengthen our sense of identity. One of the important things, I think, of a world-class city is one that has a cultural identity. Now, certainly for Pacific, Auckland is an important city, and to have a world-class reputation Pacific city, we need to have Pacific stuff there that says this is uniquely Auckland because it has a Pacific flavour. So I think we need to develop in the Auckland plan, and the Auckland Council needs to be serious about this, a Pacific cultural identity. That's what defines us, I think, in terms of our Aucklandness, as our Pacific location and our Pacific identity. We need more galleries that display our Pacific history, our Pacific art, and our Pacific culture. We need things that actually says we're a proud Auckland Pacific city. So that's one way we can encourage something of our cultural identity. The other thing is, I think we need to encourage more of our Pacific events around Auckland. Things like Pasifika. I think we need to put more emphasis on that, and not actually apologise that we put in something like 200 or 300,000 to put on a Pasifika festival. We shouldn't have to apologise for those things. Those are things that are important for our community. And if we don't have models and expressions of our Pacific community, what will our children think? Is this a totally Palangi city? Because it's not a totally Palangi city, it's a Pacific city. So we need to build up some of those festivals around Auckland. And these are things that I think are important in terms of building up a community, but building up also a Pacific identity in Auckland.
Do you think that we have enough voice or voices in our council?
That's always a very difficult question in terms of the democratic process we have, because at the moment we have a ward system that elects our councillors and local boards that represent our wards at the local community level. And then we have also a unique relationship with tangata whenua, or the people of this place, Māori. And the difficulty for Pacific is that we are concentrated in particular areas of Auckland. And unless we get people from those concentrated Pacific communities standing up and saying we want to participate through elections, we're not going to have Pacific representation. The other difficulty is that we have a council that is used to doing things in the old ways, certain way of thinking and certain way of processing issues and concerns, tend to favour the majority.
Yep.
And the dominant culture. And so it's difficult for our Pacific issues to get heard.
So that is my fear.
That's my fear.
That you're here to encourage our Pacific people to participate in this feedback for this 30 years plan. But I fear that our voices will be drowned somewhere between us and the council, because we have only, how many? 2 Pacific representatives in the Auckland Council, and we need some Pacific people there to push our voice to the people who are making decisions inside there. That is my fear, though.
My firm belief in democracy is that it's the people, for the people, by the people. And our Pacific community need to really understand and take on board the reality is that they hold the power, they hold the influence, they hold the sway in terms of getting things done. Now, if we don't have people representing us at the council level or through the organisation of the council, our most powerful tool to be heard is in the people and in the community itself. Now, if we are holding these consultation, it's the voice of the people who are coming to the consultation that has the most effective way of pursuing change. So the consultation are absolutely crucial to the democratic process, but to getting effective change. The job of those 2 councillors, of Councillor Renee and Filipina, and including the panel, the Pacific People's Advisory Panel, is to actually push what the community has been saying to us over the last 4 consultations, and push it in a way that doesn't get clouded with our interest in our agenda, but is actually expressing fully the concerns and the dreams and the interests of our communities.
So it is vital
Absolutely
for us
important
to be part of these submissions. Bring your feedback on.
So I'm really encouraging, Satita, our community. Don't think that this is another of those many consultations that our communities have had to go through in the past. This is a new consultation. It's for a new city. It's for a future that's been panned out and articulated, and we need to be in there. And we shouldn't get exhausted because we've had 2,000 consultations. We should get exhausted when our consultation ideas and dreams are not being said and heard.
And today you're appealing to the Pacific people to participate its voice in this plan. Realistically, what part do you see they have to play as a minority group here in Auckland?
Well, the important part of being Pacific people in Auckland is that we belong here, that this is our home. And regardless of whether we're a minority or a majority, this is our home, a place that matters for us and for our children and for our grandchildren. And we have a part to play in that. And the part to play in that is to actually draw out how the services, how the resources, how the decision-making take shape. Those are the things that I think are crucial for our Pacific participation. Now, it may be that it'll take 5 years, it may take 10 years, it may take 20 or even 30 years or even more. But that's not the point. The point is that we are there shaping it and formulating it and articulating the future of Auckland, which is also our future and our children and our grandchildren's future.
So how can they participate or have their voice heard in this project?
Well, as we've talked about, through the consultation process, which has come to an end. That's the first part of the process. The second part is that when the Auckland Council draws up a draft plan, then some submissions will be called for. Now, my hope is that all the submissions will be Pacific into the draft plan. After that draft plan, and I'm encouraging our Pacific people to go into that and put their thoughts in as individuals, as groups, as agencies, as professionals, as families, churches even. Everybody should be in there from our Pacific community putting in a submission, an idea, a critique, a challenge to this process when the draft plan comes out. Then the third part of it would be the changing in order for the final plan. All of that stuff requires us at every level, at the community level, at the council level, at our professional level, community level, to input all the time into those processes when they're available, so that the decisions are made, and they're made with our input in there, firmly and strongly articulated. That's how we can participate in them.
How can we know the consultation sessions going?
Well, the website of the council will have the information about the various stages of the plan. I think it'll be around about June or July when the draft plan will be drawn up, and then submissions will be called for by the council to that draft plan, and then of course the final plan will come out later in the year.
And for the families that they don't have any computer?
Well, go to the neighbour. Go to your neighbour, go to your library, go to your family, go to your churches. The people who have computers, go to them and see if you can log the information down. Go to the library. Don't be afraid to go into the library and go into the computers there. They'll have notices. Or ring up the council.
Ring the council.
But also contact your local councillor, your local boards, but also contact the Pacific panel through the Auckland Council. Be involved, take part in it, and have your say. Otherwise, we will miss the chance to get a small change, if not a big change. But it's important for us to be involved in these things and to participate so that our voice is heard.
Reverend Wesefili Usana, thank you for your time.
A pleasure.
Hi Peter, and welcome to the program. Peter, can you give us a brief outline of Parkinson and Bowscott and what you can do for our community?
Parkinson and Bowscott have been giving 123 years of service in terms of providing memorials to the people of New Zealand.
123 years, that's a long time.
It is.
Well, headstones are very, very important to our Pacific peoples, as you know, but over the years there has been some questionable businesses. What makes your company stand out from the others?
Well, with those many years of service and knowledge, we know what suits our clients. We only select the best granite. Basically, that allows us to provide a really good service to our clients, and that way we can give it at our best price. That's basically our promise to the community, that we are there to serve them.
Peter, our people like to honour their loved ones passing with a memorial or headstone. Are you a company we can trust to do that for our community?
Well, Satita, we've been servicing the needs of the Polynesian community for many, many years. Quite simply, the people that deal with us, they trust us, we keep our word, we honour our prices, and we provide a service to respect the memorial that they require for their loved ones. So, we just simply listen to people's needs. I mean, we are down-to-earth people, just like our majority of our customers.
Peter, pricing is always an issue when choosing something. What can you offer our Pacific people?
We have a complete range of headstones, from very small plaques to go onto graves up to the very biggest headstones. And within that range, prices can vary from $1,000 up to what people are prepared to spend. Within that, regardless of the prices, we try and make sure that the quality is there. We do not stint on the quality of the memorial that we provide for people.
Do you ever have any specials?
Yes, we have specials. I mean, in all our 5 branches we have special package deals where people come in and the price that we give them is a complete price. We do have various items of stock at special or discounted prices.
Purchasing a headstone, Peter, can be very daunting idea to a Pacific Islander. Can you take us through in the process of purchasing a headstone?
People will just come into our showroom, they'll look at the range of headstones we've got. They may have received one of our brochures or even looked at our website, or they may have been even recommended by another family from what they've seen in the cemetery. So when they come into the showroom, we can show them all the options. We can find headstones that will meet their budget, and basically it's then a matter of them deciding which options they prefer in terms of colour and designs and shapes. And from there we firm up on the price, so they then know exactly what the cost of their completed memorial is. And after that, we then work through with the families in terms of the wording to go onto the headstone, in terms of the portrait, the artwork. We work through that with the family to give them a paper proof that shows them exactly what the headstone is like when it's finished. We don't actually put all the lettering onto the headstone until such time as the family say they're happy with the layout and they've signed it off and checked that all the dates are correct and the spelling's correct.
And where can we find you and how can we contact you?
We have showrooms in 5 locations. We have them in Onehunga, where our manufacturing base is. We also have a branch in Otara Shopping Centre, one in Glen Eden, one at Albany, and also in Tauranga.
So basically you were nearly serving the whole of New Zealand.
Yeah, on top of that, we do work throughout New Zealand, and we obviously export quite a bit to the various parts of the South Pacific.
If any relative from New Zealand wanting to send a headstone to their relative back to the islands, can you do that?
Yes, we do. We are sending headstones overseas all the time. So basically there's no problem with that at all. There's no GST payable on the exports of the headstones if we arrange the shipping, etc. We make purpose-built crates for the headstones to go in. In the last 20 years I can't think of any that have been damaged during the transit, and we do cover them for insurance as well. And finally, we obviously make sure it's there in time for the unveiling.
I think that is the most important thing.
Very important.
Peter, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarita.
Well, that's all we have time for on tonight's program. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same channel here on Pacific Viewpoint. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.